Scareclaw is a deck that at the time of recording is something that is going to be getting a lot better as we get more Kashtira cards. But in the meantime, if you want to take advantage of the new secret pack that was just released, this is likely a version of the deck that you want to play out. It's a blind second variant focusing around using, of course, your Tryhard to absolutely shatter boards and press for insane lethal damage, using a one card combo built off of any singular one of your Scareclaws. Any one Scareclaw gives you full combo into your Tryhard, which will have either 2 or 3 of the different Scareclaw effects depending upon what extenders you open up. The rest of the deck is basically just board breakers and hand traps. Again, it's a very, very small core. We're going to be doing a card for card deck profile at the end of the video, so I'd recommend sticking around to watch that at the end. But we're going to be showing off a few games, sort of showing what the deck is good at, maybe what the deck is bad at. It's very mid right now, I would say. The deck is decent, it can press for lethal, it's definitely not the best blind second deck out there, and it can't really do very much going first in a lot of instances. But the deck is going to be getting a lot better, so if there was ever a time to invest into Scareclaw, if you're interested in the deck, now is going to be the time to get the cards while they're available and take advantage of the new secret pack. So if you're interested in this type of content, absolutely subscribe to the channel so you can catch things as they're coming out. New content every single day, either a video or a stream, so if you're interested in either of those, absolutely subscribe. Like the video if you enjoy watching, of course, or if you're a fan of Scareclaws, and if you have the means and the will to do so, you can of course join the channel as a member to show that little bit of extra support if you are so inclined. But again, those are your options. Subscribe if you want. We're going to do some gameplay, deck profile at the end. Let's get into it. Alright, getting into game number 1 here. We're going to be going second, of course. Ideally, you do want to be going second, but we don't exactly have a fantastic hand. In fact, this is quite a bad hand. The reason being, we're only running 2 copies of the Scareclaw field spell. We drew both of them. That is a little problematic because the whole point of the combo with the one card is that you search for the field spell mid-combo. Nonetheless, I did want to show it off because it was actually a mirror match, which I thought was pretty funny. So they're going to go into their Scareclaw Lightheart, and the Scareclaw Lightheart searches the field spell exactly like that, but unfortunately our opponent doesn't have any extenders. So this replay, the reason I'm showing this one off is because it shows the deck both going first and going second, right? Going first, not that impressive sometimes. It really isn't. Of course, our opponent's playing a bit of a weird version of it, but yeah, not the greatest look for the deck. Let's get in here. We're going to be going second. Not a fantastic hand, but we're going to be trying to make it work. Playing under Max C, which is a little unfortunate. We are going to hit it with Call by the Grave. We would rather not be playing around with the Max C, even though, yes, it does negate ours as well for the following turn, but it is what it is. Sometimes, just got to do what you got to do. So we're going to start off into the main phase 1. We're going to start with the Field Spell, of course. Field Spell gets Searching, grabbing a Visa Starfrost. Normal summon the Rykart. Rykart getting hit with Imperm. That's a little bit annoying because we normally would have searched our deck for a rival. So it's important, however, that the deck is able to play through Disruption if it is planning on going second. We are going to link off into the Lightheart nonetheless. We're going to now use the Visa Starfrost to pop the Lightheart to summon itself, and that will trigger off the effect of Lightheart to basically summon itself. So basically, if you control Visa Starfrost, you can bring this card back, which means popping it off of Visa Starfrost is basically just like a free summon, right? So we bring this card back, special summon out the Astra from the hand. We're going to go into the Tryhard. Tryhard then is going to activate. We get to grab 2 of our Scareclaws back, 1 from graveyard, 1 from deck, Astra to the field, Balloon to the field. These are the main 2, right? And the way the deck works is that all of your small Scareclaws give bonus effects to your big Scareclaw. Astra allows it to attack a number of times equal to the number of defense position monsters on the field, and Balloon allows it to do piercing damage. So that's pretty big. On this occasion, however, it's insufficient to go for lethal. We can also take advantage of the field spell. The field spell, if there's 3 or more defense position monsters on the field, you can pop a card in the field. Pretty good, we're able to get rid of his field spell. And the Scareclaw, we're able to swing in, take out the Lightheart. Because we get 2 defense position monsters, we can also swing in over his monsters as well, dealing 30,000 points of damage, but unfortunately being just a little bit shy of lethal. We would have had lethal if we were able to go for the Arrival play and everything off of our Rykart, but it is what it is. What are you going to do? So we put ourselves up in a decent position, and the Scareclaw, the way the Tryhard works here is all of our opponent's monsters are switched to defense, and it's unaffected by the effects of our opponent's defense position monsters. Now, unfortunately, ironically, Scareclaw has the out, and our opponent here has another copy of the field spell at their disposal in their hand here. They're going to start by normal summoning the Moonlight Chill, or Ghost Mourner, sorry, so they can use the field spell to pop our Tryhard, popping the Mourner to summon a Visa Starfrost to swing in and take out our Balloon. Again, our opponent is going to be struggling slightly to catch up because we did diminish a lot of their resources, but we're in a fantastic position, really. There's Rhoda. Rhoda to hand is basically awesome because we get to grab our Rykart. Rykart is the main sort of extender of the deck, starter of the deck. We get to special summon it out. I should mention as well that all of the Scareclaw monsters can special summon themselves to the field next to another Scareclaw. So Rykart can come straight out. He searches for a rival, which is a non-once per turn monster reborn, which is amazing. Our rival then activating, going to bring back the Starfrost from the grave. Starfrost, first of all, we're going to pop his field spell, then we're going to use Starfrost and Rykart to go into Baron de Fleur. Level 6 tuner, level 4 non-tuner, into the level 10 Synchro, popping the Visa Starfrost, and our opponent realizes quite quickly that we have lethal. Bit of a weird one to start off with, I know, but it does show the deck in two different lights. It shows it going first, which is less than ideal, a little underwhelming, and it also shows it going second, even if it was with a bad hand, right? It wasn't exactly a fantastic hand. We could have had a couple more extenders, board breakers, hand traps in place of those field spells, which we would really rather have searched off of our Lightheart. But it is what it is. Sometimes you don't draw the greatest hands, and it's not fair to judge a deck based upon only its best situations, right? Let's get into replay number 2. Alrighty, game 2 here, of course, going second. That is the plan this time, however. Yes, we do have one copy of the field spell, but even if we can get a little bit of advantage off searching the second, we don't mind having one copy in hand. We'll live with it. It's fine. We are going to meet our opponent's Prosperity here with a Maxi, of course. It is going to be hit with an Ash Blossom, so no, you're not seeing any Maxi cheesy wins. We're not doing that here in this video. Maxi, of course, being negated. We do have, however, evenly matched. So we do run a decent number of board breakers. We run Super Poly, we run evenly. At one point we were running Lightning Storm, we were running Duster, we were running Dark Ruler. Not running all of them at once, of course, but we were sort of chopping and changing between them. We are playing against Kashtira, which is a very popular deck at the moment. They're going to get banishing our cards here. They're going to bring back the Fenrir from the banish pile. Fenrir gets searching for an Ogre. They are going to go into number 89, Diabolosis. Diabolosis get a little peek under the hood of our extra deck here. They decide to banish Zeus. Interesting choice. Then they get to banish a bunch of cards off the top of our deck, and they manage to hit 2 copies of our Arrival as well as our one of Visa Starfrost. Pretty rough, not gonna lie. Not a great situation for us, but we are gonna make it work. We draw into Acro, into the battle phase, right away, drop it. Except our opponent, they give me a mini heart attack here. Because they flip up cross it, I'm like, oh no, shot, they actually have the out, but no, it looks like they're just going to banish Dimension Shifter from their deck. Fair enough. Banishing the whole field, get that shit out of here. Main phase 2, we're going to go Rhoda. Yes, we do miss it on our battle phase here, but honestly, most of the time going for an evenly matched is... It's better than trying to swing for lethal with your Scareclaws over a board. It's going to net you more wins, absolutely. Grabbing the Royal Rare Field Spell here. Now we're going to go into the Scareclaw Rykart. Going to be met with an Imperm. This is a huge Imperm target for many of your opponents. Expect that card to get targeted a lot. As well as the Lightheart. Those are the 2 main targets, of course. And now we're going to use these 3. We're going to go into the Scareclaw. Triheart going to grab back the Acro from the grave. Going to summon it in defense. Grabbing Balloon from the deck. Balloon, summon it in defense. And then we end our turn. So... of course, we get the piercing damage from the balloon, but the Acro is the one we were missing last time, which basically boosts our Triheart Scareclaw by 300 attack for each defense position monster we control. So we just gets a little bit boost. Usually, if you can get all 3 Scareclaws underneath Triheart, it's instantly game, right? So we're just setting ourselves up in a position to where we can grab the Astra during our turn and just go in and win the game. We definitely should have set Straddle. We 100% should have set this card. It was silly that we didn't, because this can protect your Trihearts from any effect that would target them, which is awesome. Ogre, going to search the deck for the preparations here. They do have the ability to play the game a little bit. They're going to go for the Psybeast here. Psybeast boosting its level up to 7, so they can go into the Diabolosis once again. Diabolosis going to get sniping out of our extra deck, but again, our opponent is not able to go into attack position. They're not able to affect our Triheart. So aggressively speaking, they're not really able to generate much, but they do hit a lot of resources out of our deck. It is not looking good, but our opponent realizes very quickly we have the easiest lethal on the board that any human being has ever seen. Easy lethal. There you go. Game 2, pretty smooth. Taking out Kashtira. Let's get into game 3. Alrighty, getting into game 3 here. Main phase 1 for our opponent. Sign up mining. Fair enough. Ascendant Maining is going to be met with an Ash Blossom. So again, Ascendant Maining is one of the biggest targets in a lot of these decks, and our opponent very swiftly here is going to end their turn. And this is where I have a little bit of a problem with Scareclaw sometimes. We do draw on the Nib. Nib is fine, whatever. We normal summon Balloon. We're met with an immediate Max C here. We're going to go into Light Heart. So a lot of the times, even when you're met with Max C, because you're going to be pushing for lethal, sometimes, or even a lot of the times, you do want to take the Max C challenge, which can be very risky. Don't get me wrong. Do not expect to take this challenge and win every single time. Absolutely not. There is a distinct possibility that your opponent draws the out. So long as Max C is around, decks like Scareclaw and these blind second decks are going to struggle big time. Gonna go for the Primitive Planet Rykart, grabbing our, well, Rykart, or Rykophobia, sorry. Grabbing Rykart, grabbing Arrival. We're gonna go Arrival here. We're just going balls deep on this one. We are met with a Ghost Bell though on the Arrival, which definitely stings. But again, looking at my hand, I'm sort of thinking to myself, yeah, I can deal with this. This is fine. Summon the Balloon. We're gonna go into our Tryhard. Tryhard is the big, bad, and the ugly. Gonna summon out the aggro from the hand, grabbing Balloon from the deck, except we're met with an Ash Blossom. Because it searches our deck for a monster, it can in fact be hit with an Ash Blossom, which means we do not get our multiple attacks, we do not get our piercing damage, we do not pass go, and we do not collect 200. We are unfortunately only able to swing for 33, and we have to pass to our opponent here. So we're putting ourselves in a dangerous spot because we did allow them to draw a bunch of cards. They are going to open up with Small World here, revealing Sigma and the Mega Coder to go into the Circular, and it's not looking good for you, boy. We are going to go for Circular here, sending the addition. Now, do pay attention to the fact that we do have the Nib as well as Evenly Matched for potential follow-up, so it is not over yet, but we're going to have to try and weather the Mathmech Storm. First of all, going into Alimbertion here, detaching 2, going to get searching their deck for the Diameter. Diameter being pretty big right now with the release of one of the new Cyber's boss monsters, which we are going to be looking at not only in this replay, but also in a future video that I already have stashed up and ready to go. Tryhard getting reduced down by the subtraction, bringing back Diameter from the grave. That's going to trigger Nibiru. No better time than that. Wipe the board with the rock, throwing the rock at the opponent, but our opponent has the equation in hand, bringing out the Alimbertion. Alimbertion get tributing the Nibiru token to bring back the subtraction, and just like that, it's like we didn't do anything to this man. He's still able to set up a bunch of back row, but we do manage to survive the turn. But Super Factorial is gonna sting. We draw into our Small World Bridge, which is completely useless. They go in the Laplacian. Laplacian, of course, has the Omni Negate. It has the Rip 3. It's just not looking great. They rip the Evenly Matched, they hit the Nibiru, hit the Field Spell, and just like that, GG's. So that's the thing about Scareclaw. Even in positions where you are ideally going to be going second, trying to break an opponent's board and then trying to swing for lethal is a little bit difficult with, number one, how powerful many boards are nowadays, number two, how versatile and a lot of decks are, like, you know, Mathmechs or Punk in general as well, Tearlaments, all of these kinds of decks that just have this like near infinite recursion. So there's definitely a lot of issues with trying to go for a blind second deck, one that just wants to swing like crazy, like nobody cares. And this is definitely one of those problems. But we're going to talk more about that in the deck profile. Okay, so before we even get into the deck profile, what I want to do is clear something up. I know I'm going to get a million and one comments saying, why didn't you play this? Why didn't you play that? Why didn't you play this? I'm just going to wipe out all of the non-essential cards right now, and you can fill those slots with whatever your heart desires. So we have triple Maxi, triple Ash Blossom, double Called By, and we're not actually playing Crossout because we do sort of try to play through Maxi. I think those cards are very important to help you deal with Maxi, at least to some extent. We have double Nibiru, we have double Fenrir, we have the triple Tactics Talent double, we've got the double Super Poly, we've got the double Imperm, and the double Evenly Matched. See those 20 cards? Those 20 cards you could do whatever you want with. Another very popular version of Scareclaw is definitely Kashtira Scareclaw, because you can fit a pretty sizable Kashtira package in here. And we do plan on exploring that in the near future as a sort of ideally more going first oriented version of the deck. But for now, this is the core of Scareclaws. Whatever you want to stack in on top of this is your prerogative. You go nuts, Chief. Do whatever your heart desires, right? So what exactly does the main deck of Scareclaws do? Well, It's made up of 4 primary monsters, 3 beasts, 1 warrior. All the beasts are fairly similar. They can all special summon themselves from your hand to a zone that basically is adjacent to another Scareclaw monster, so you summon it out beside another Scareclaw, and they all give bonus effects to a Scareclaw monster that is in your extra monster zone, with ideally your tryhard, of course. Astra will give it attacks equal to the number of defense position monsters you control. Balloon will give it piercing damage, and Acro will boost it by 300 attack per defense position monster on your field. So, multiple attacks, piercing, boost. Couldn't be simpler. Then we got the Rykart. Scareclaw Rykart here can also special summon itself next to another Scareclaw, but this card on summon will search your deck for a Scareclaw spell or trap card. Ideally, your Arrival. So this card again, pretty nuts. Level 4 Warrior as well. Level 4 gives it some versatility alongside our next card, Visa Starfrost. Starfrost will allow you to pop a monster on your field to summon this card out from your hand. What you're normally going to do is you're going to be popping your Lightheart because this card can bring itself back, but we'll get to that in a minute. So Visa Starfrost, level 6 tuner that can special summon itself from the hand very easily. It is also searchable off of your field spell. We have Reinforcements of the Army to search your deck for Rykart. It is your best starter, far and away. Absolutely. Scareclaw Arrival. This is a non-once per turn monster reborn. Target a Scareclaw or Visa Starfrost in your graveyard. Special summon it in defense. You can also banish this card from your graveyard to protect a Scareclaw Link monster from destruction, which is pretty dope. But the destruction effect is once per turn. Pretty weird way they arrange that. Most cards are sort of the other way around. Their primary effect is once per turn, but like their secondary banishment effects are not. Yeah, but you can revive as many monsters as you want per turn off of Arrival, but you can only protect your monster once. Double Primitive Planet Phobia. This card does a few things. Number 1, upon activation, you get to grab a Scareclaw monster or a Visa Starfrost directly from deck and add it to your hand, which is pretty dope. You then also reduce all of your opponent's monsters by 100 attack and defense for each defense position monster on the field, not just your field. And remember, you're tryhard switching everything to defense, so that number might be... It's never going to be huge, of course, but, you know, it might be minus 300, minus 400, minus 500. That can be pretty sizable sometimes, especially in a position where you're trying to push for lethal pretty quickly. Every little bit of damage counts. If there's 3 or more defense position monsters on the field, not just your field, on the field, pop a card your opponent controls, and pretty straightforward. Searchable card off of our Lightheart, part of your 1-card combo. This card is awesome. And lastly, we have Scareclaw Straddle. This card has 2 effects, both of which are genuinely pretty good. Number 1, you can target a Scareclaw monster or Visa Starfrost in your monster zone, and any face-up monster your opponent controls, your monster gains attack and defense equal to their attack or defense, whichever is higher. So you basically boost up your tryhard, and hopefully that is enough for you to press for lethal. It also has a secondary effect, which is the more useful effect in my opinion. When a card or effect is activated that targets a Scareclaw or Visa Starfrost, you get that effect. Pretty awesome. Helps you fight through imperms, helps you fight through monster targeting, negations, things like that. Because your tryhard isn't super weak to monsters because it switches all your opponent's monsters to defense and it's unaffected by defense position monsters, which is pretty good. Its primary weakness is back row, and one of the most common back row cards that people would employ to counter Scareclaw is definitely the Infinite Impermanence, which is a targeting trap card. So Straddle definitely helps a lot in dealing with that. And that's the entire main deck. It's really not that complicated. Getting into the extra deck, we have our Super Poly targets that we were playing. Mud Dragon and Garura, very generic targets. We have our Earth Golem Ignister for anti-Sprite. And we have Starving Venom for just, again, generic target. Any 2 dark monsters. Pretty straightforward targets here for Super Poly. We got Baron de Fleur, which can be summoned off Visa Starfrost and Rykart. It's not exactly an uncommon play. You don't do it every single game, but you can definitely do it, which gives you a decent amount of negation, at least going first if you need to go first. And it can also just pop a bunch of cards going second, which is pretty awesome. Cicada King. Cicada King is a monster negate. Essentially, it's just a rank 3 exceed. You can detach a material to negate a monster effect and boost up this card by 500 defense. So it gets pretty big in terms of defense, but it's mainly here just as a monster negate you can put up if you get interrupted and you've just got a bunch of level 3s on board. Baguska is our next monster. It's not exactly uncommon that you will have multiple Rykart because remember, you can special summon this card and all of your other Scareclaws special summon themselves, so you have a free normal summon. So we do play a Baguska just in case we need to play defensively with the double Rykart on field. Again, it's just versatility, especially considering it does help us go into Zeus. Your extra deck is fairly loose. You can do a lot with it, so you do have room for these cards, but if you want to chop and change, take them out, do whatever you want with them, absolutely. These cards are by no means something that come up very often, and you can definitely customize them. Then we got 3 copies of Scareclaw Lightheart. I was playing this at 2. You can get away with 2, but I definitely think your deck is going to be a lot better with 3 of this card in particular. Same for Tryhard. Again, you can get away with 2. I don't want to craft a 3rd copy, but you'll probably want to craft a 3rd copy if you want to play this deck competitively for sure, just to help play around Kashtira, man. It hurts my soul. But the Lightheart basically on summon will search your deck for your field spell. Pretty straightforward stuff. It can also bring itself back from the graveyard if you control Visa Starfrost, just like you saw in replay number 1, which makes Visa Starfrost almost like a cost-free special summon, which is great. So this card's part of your 1-card combo. What you'll basically do is you'll normal summon any of your Scareclaws, any one of them, link it off into your Lightheart. Lightheart, search for the field spell, activate the field spell, search for Rykard, special the Rykard under the Lightheart. Rykard searches your deck for Arrival. Arrival revives back the Scareclaw you summoned at the beginning of the turn, and there you go, there's 3 monsters into your Tryhard. Full combo, easy as that. And the Lightheart is what enables that. So 3 copies of this to play around Kashtira, definitely almost mandatory to be honest, but you can get away with 2 if you really don't want to go for a 3rd one. I know I didn't. We got the Tryhard. Tryhard is of course your main boss monster. It switches everything to defense. It's unaffected by the activated effects of defense position monsters. And once per turn you can target a level 3 Scareclaw in grave and special summon it, and then grab another Scareclaw monster from deck to hand. Of course, the main benefit of this monster is that it gains all of the bonus effects from the other Scareclaws that you would summon to your field. So its effect, of course, is pretty good. It protects itself, switches everything to defense, great. But its primary benefit comes from the fact that it's got a ton of attack points and all of this. Plus, it'll be able to attack multiple times. It'll do piercing damage, and it'll get boosted even higher by the aggro. So absolutely, Tryhard becomes an absolute maniac when it comes to aggressive power. But it can be quite easily shut down as well. So it's a double-sided coin. And then we just have some generic links here. Access Code Talker and Underworld Goddess. I used Underworld Goddess like once, and I never ever summoned Access Code. So you would probably drop Access for a 3rd Tryhard, if I'm being honest. I never summoned it, but it could be useful. Again, I have no doubt that in some moment in time it will save me and win me a game, but it just hasn't until now. But yeah, that's the deck. Again, it's really not that complicated. I'm going to throw my full list back up here, just so you can get a look at it. Ignore all of my other deck names. But yeah, this is the full deck. This is the board breakers, hand traps, and everything I chose to run. If there's anything I'm missing, let me know. My opinion so far of the deck is that it's decent. It's pretty fun. It's definitely fun. It's very mid in terms of being a blind second deck, which is interesting because I think blind second is actually going to be in a very interesting semi-positive spot in this upcoming meta. I feel a little bit good about blind second, although again a lot of the punk decks and a lot of the Dragon Link decks have been setting up pretty oppressive boards, so we'll need to wait and see what happens on that front. But anyway, that is going to wrap us up for this video. If you have any recommendations, suggestions, queries, questions, complaints, whatever, put them in the comments. Subscribe if you're new to the channel, like the video if you got this far, and check out the other videos that you're seeing on screen. If I knew what direction to point in. There you go, got there eventually. So you want to check out one of the other videos, by all means. A lot of really cool decks out there, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye bye.